Hello everyone, it's your CSA coach Stephanie. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was later getting home today for some reason, so it took me a little while to unpack the car. This is week 13. It's an A week for those of you that are half shares, and we are officially halfway through our CSA season. So a huge shout out to our farmers who provide us with amazing produce each week. We're halfway through, and we have a large variety of stuff in our share this week. Before I jump into what we have, two quick announcements. Today is the Insect ID event. It's going on right now until 6 p.m. at the farm. So even if you're a Thursday pickup, you can stop by the farm to ID insects. Bulk plum tomatoes are also for sale. There's 25-pound boxes. They are $35 each. So if you are interested in canning tomatoes, if freezing tomatoes, those are available. All you need to do is contact Trisha at the farm and let her know to reserve. You do need to pre-order the boxes. They're not just available for pickup like some of our other produce. So make sure you send her an email and let her know if you would like to reserve a box during your pickup day. So either today or Thursday. All right, jumping right into our shares this week. We have salad mix, and salad mix we've been receiving for a long time. Stays right in this bag, goes in the fridge. Once you're ready to use it, wash it really well, spin it in your salad spinner, and it's ready to go. Obviously really good for salads. You can just leave it as it is and just quickly dress it, or you can add a variety of other produce and make a big, large salad, but definitely a great base for our salads. Make sure that you also take a look at if you're getting bored with the same old salad, take a look at our salad board PDF. That's a great idea for just changing things up. You could create this as your base and then serve it with a variety of other options, and then kind of make it make your own salad for a nice weekend event, if you're having friends over, or just for your family. So take a look at that. Also take a look at our vinaigrette PDF or a salad dressing PDF, because that gives you kind of a basis on how to just basically make a vinaigrette and change it up with different herbs and different things like that. Last week's recipe was our wedge salad with a roasted garlic dressing. Now don't feel like you have to make the wedge salad. If you want to just make the roasted garlic dressing and put it on this, you can definitely do that. So you can just make the roasted garlic dressing without the rest of the recipe. It was really good and really tasty, something different. So remember to do that if you have salad greens and you want a variety of different tastings. You can change up the way you dress your salad, and you can change up what you put in it. So salad greens. We have summer squash. Our summer squash, there's a couple different varieties, but it gets stored in the fridge in our crisper drawer. You can slice this thin and serve it on salads. You can grill it, so slice it and grill it. And we just season it with salt and pepper and olive oil and then throw it on the grill. There's a bunch of recipes on the blog for summer squash. There's like a pickled summer squash recipe. I think it's ribbons. There's summer squash fries that were just posted this year. There's I was just thinking of something else. Summer squash. Summer squash like rollatini. You can make a sauce and use the summer squash as your noodle. You can also spiralize these, and they make a great pasta. And you can also shred them and freeze them. So you can freeze them as is, but then they kind of get mushy, but great for baked goods. So you can shred them. I pre-measure them, put them into a Ziploc, and mark what I've measured. So like usually I store them in 1 cup or 2 cup increments, just so I can pull that bag out, defrost it, and throw it into my baked goods. So that's our summer squash, stored in the fridge. Eggplant, same idea, stored in the fridge. You can wrap it in a towel. If you wrap it in a towel, it'll keep the moisture away from the eggplant. This is really good grilled too. We have a lot of vegetables this week that you can throw onto a sheet pan roasted vegetable. We have a roasted vegetable PDF on the blog or on the hub. So if you're just wanting to create a big, huge batch of roasted vegetables, you can make that. And even if you're making it just for 2 people, make a big batch and then all you do is quickly reheat it and it's already made. So that's an option. There's a couple other recipes on the blog for eggplant, but our favorite way to eat it is just fried. I usually use a egg wash and then gluten-free breadcrumbs, and then throw it into my air fryer and just serve it as a side. I do sometimes freeze that and then create eggplant parm. So that's our favorite way to eat eggplant. So that's stored in the fridge. We have a bunch of peppers. So first off, we have Cubanelle and green bell peppers. These are stored in the fridge in the crisper drawer. We like to just slice these up and serve them as a snack or as a side. Like last night we had chicken wings and I served a big tray of raw vegetables alongside those. Great addition to salads. You can throw these into roasted vegetables. You can throw them into the foil packets for the grill, which is also a recipe on the blog. Slice them up and bring them to lunch. Sheet pan fajitas. That's a recipe on the blog. So we have onions and we have a bunch of peppers. You could do that easily with this week's variety of vegetables. So those are stored in the fridge. We had the option to grab 2 hot peppers, and there's a variety of different peppers that we could pick from. We have poblanos. Pretty sure these are called the Santa Fe's. Jalapenos. Long hots, and this is a new variety that the farm added this year, and I'm pretty sure it was called an Anaheim, but they're a milder heat. So any of these are stored in the fridge in your crisper drawer. You can also freeze them. You can freeze them sliced up. You can remove anything where that has heat. When you remove the seeds and the membranes on the inside, it removes some of that heat, so it makes them milder. I do like to, if I have a abundance of hot peppers, I do like to slice them up and freeze them so that I can use them to infuse heat into my hot pepper honey. So that works really well. That's on the blog, and that works really well with frozen hot peppers. You can also roast these. Great for pico de gallo or salsas, and we have a lot of ingredients that would work for those as well. But basically we're using these to add heat to any dish. So stored in the fridge for those guys. We have onions. We got 2 onions. These are cured, so we have a red onion, excuse me, and a sweet onion. Stored in a cool, dry place away from our potatoes. Do not store them in the same bin as your potatoes because it will, the moisture from the potatoes will rot these. Onions can be used in our salsas. They can be used in our roasted vegetables. They can be used in our sheet pan fajitas. You can use them in your grill packets. You can thinly slice them and put them on salads. So much. I mean, I use onions and garlic in pretty much every dish we make. We just did a big batch of garlic tomatoes over the weekend, which is a big salad. With tomatoes, garlic, and onions. We used our onions from last week and our tomatoes from last week for that. Stored in a cool, dry place. Garlic, also cured. So we're gonna store this in a cool, dry place. I pretty much add garlic to anything. So great for salsas, great for our roasted vegetables, great for marinades, great for salad dressings. You can also, both the onion and the garlic, if you have an overabundance and you want to preserve it, you can actually take the cloves of the garlic and preserve it in olive oil in the in like an ice cube tray and freeze it, or you can dehydrate it. So I slice it super thin, put it in the dehydrator, get all the moisture out, and then you can create an onion or a garlic powder with either the onions or the garlic. And that recipe is also on the blog. A cool, dry place for that. We have basil. Basil likes to be on the counter. So we're gonna take this basil, we're gonna put it in a glass of water and just store it room temperature on the counter. Basil is great paired with our tomatoes, and we have a lot of them this week. It's also wonderful in dressing. You can create pestos, you can create marinades, you can definitely preserve it because we've been getting a lot of basil. So I think I'm probably about due to make a big batch of pestos, and then I freeze that pesto in ice cube trays so that I can just pull out a couple cubes and throw it into our pasta dishes or on top of chicken or things like that. So store it on the countertop in a glass of water, and just make sure you pay attention to that glass of water because the water will evaporate, so you do need to make sure you keep water in there. So that's our basil. We have dandelion greens, a huge head of dandelion greens, a huge bunch. This gets stored in the fridge. I'll throw it in a Debbie Meyer green bag because it is so big. And then this is really, you can eat dandelion greens raw. They are a little bit bitter. You can saute them. They pair really well with like our sweet onions and bacon. There's a recipe on the blog for sauteed dandelion greens. You can also, they're really good and really healthy for you. So if you can throw them in smoothies, do that. You can make green cubes with them. There's a PDF for that on our hub. If you want to take out some of the bitterness, you can throw this in salt water for like 5-10 minutes and then pull it out, dry it off in your salad spinner, and then it will reduce the bitterness of the greens. But these have a lot of health benefits, a lot of vitamins and nutrients in them. So please try them. And if you don't like them, keep trying them different ways so that you give them a chance. But really good recipe on the blog for dandelion greens. That's how we like to eat them. Okay, we got melon this week, which is brand new. So we have watermelon. You either have a yellow orange variety or a red variety. You cannot tell the difference. So when you go to slice this open, it will be a surprise of what you got because they look exactly the same on the outside. Both are delicious. We want to store this in the fridge. Mine's actually probably not going to go in the fridge because we're going to eat it tonight. So maybe I'll throw it in for a few hours to make it nice and cold and then slice it up and eat it tonight. One of them is seeded, one of them is seedless, but both nice and sweet. We like to eat our melons just sliced up as a side, kind of as a snack in between meals or as a dessert after meals. You could definitely do like a parfait and throw your melons on that. You can serve it as a side as breakfast or bring your melon to work with you and have it as a snack. So watermelon stored in the fridge, slice it up. You can also grill these. So you can do slices and throw it on the grill, drizzle some honey on it. That's a nice treat. Generally doesn't make it that far with us because my kids love melon. So that's our watermelon. We also have cantaloupe, same idea. In the fridge, this will continue, unless you're gonna eat it within the next day or two, throw it in the fridge because it will continue to ripen on the countertop and then will turn, it won't last all week on the counter. So we wanna keep it cold. You're gonna slice this, pull out the seeds, and you can actually take that and make a parfait out of that. Throw some yogurt, throw some granola on it and eat it just as a half. You can slice it and just like you would the watermelon and serve it as a side. This also can be grilled. So you can just slice it into slices, throw it on the grill, and then drizzle this with honey. But really yummy. I think last year there was a huge, like everyone loved the cantaloupe because it was so nice and sweet. Now our watermelon, because it's freshly picked, or both of our melons, sorry, watermelon and cantaloupe, because they're freshly picked, you do generally want to eat it within the next few days to get the freshest, sweetest, yummiest flavor. Okay, we have tomatoes, a huge variety of tomatoes. We got heirlooms, reds, and beefsteak tomatoes. So heirlooms, beefsteak, the red early girls, they are all stored on the fridge. They're all stored on the counter. Once you slice them, you do need to store them in the fridge, but once you store them in the fridge, you want to use them within a day. We have been using the farm tomatoes just in sliced tomato salad. I mentioned garlic tomatoes earlier, so we use garlic and onions and tomato slices just in a crazy salad as a side. Goes great with anything grilled, so burgers and hot dogs. We have been using it a lot for BLTs, for sandwiches, or just literally sliced with a little sea salt as a snack. I love tomatoes, so they don't go wasted in our house. You can, because we have so many tomatoes, you can make the roasted tomato soup or roasted tomato sauce. I believe I have both on the blog. You can blanch and freeze them. You can just freeze them as is. There's Roma tomatoes for sale at the farm, and Trisha posted her recipe for, I think it's called slow roasted tomatoes. That's really good, and obviously really good for salsas and pico de gallos. So we're having Mexican tonight, so that's what I'm gonna make with some of the tomatoes. So those are our larger tomatoes. We also got to pick cherry tomatoes. So cherry tomatoes best stored right on the counter, just like everything else. These we tend to just use as a snack. I have served them with our salads. They did go with the wedge salad from last week. They went really well. You can roast them. You can kind of blister them in a sheet pan. You can throw them with your other tomatoes if you're making a big batch of sauce or a big batch of tomato soup. I like to make tomato soup with fresh tomatoes this time of year and then throw it in the freezer so that we can enjoy it when it's cooler. I will probably do that a couple times this year. So those are our tomatoes. 2 more items, also you picked. We had shishitos. Shishito peppers are stored in the fridge. I'll actually just leave them like this or throw the lid on this container and throw them in the fridge. These will last, so not something you have to use this week necessarily. There's a bunch of recipes on the blog for shishitos. I know I have pickled shishitos, I have fried shishitos, blistered shishitos. With the shishito peppers, they're generally mild, but sometimes you get a hot one. So it depends on the variety and depends on the plants, but it tends to be between 1 and 5 and 1 and 10 are hot. And they're not like scorching, super spicy hot usually, just a little bit of heat. And it's fun when I serve them as a side. We kind of wait for someone to bite into a hot one and then complain, oh, that was a hot one, because you're not used to that. These can also be frozen. These are great in stir fries. I didn't mention stir fries yet, so we have the onions, we have the peppers, we have garlic, we have these. All make great additions to a stir fry. Last but not least, we have the ground cherries. These, we are picking the ones with the tan or yellow husks, and that is the ground cherry on the inside. You're gonna store them either on the counter or in the fridge, depending on how quickly you're gonna use them. There's a lot of ways to use ground cherries. You can cook with them, you can bake with them, you can add them to, I'm pretty sure I have a jam and a dressing and chocolate covered ground cherries and ground cherry tarts, all on the blog. So refer to those if you're looking for something different. A lot of people just eat them just like this. You can just take the husk off and rinse them off and eat them. You can throw them on top of salads. This week's recipe, I'm almost 100% positive, will showcase the ground cherries. So stay tuned for that on Thursday. But stored just like this, or on the counter if it's just a couple days, or in the fridge. And that is it for this week. So go back through anything you had left over from last week, focus on using that first. And then as far as this week goes, you're going to want to use the salad mix, and definitely find a use for your dandelion greens and your 2 melons. Within the next few days, you want to use those 2 melons just because they're going to taste the sweetest within the next few days. That's it, and I will see you next week. Make sure if you have any questions, tag me and post in our Facebook group. I will talk to you all soon.